Okay, so one of the things that has left me completely bewildered and pretty much stuck as to, kind of like what would you do type of scenario is what is it going to take, or what would it take for you as an individual to completely disown your own flesh and blood, your brother, your sister, your mom, your dad. To what extent does a blood direct family member have to go for you to completely disown that individual? And I've been thinking about that because I've been seeing that a lot, not only on the internet, but I've also seen it in real life. And, that goes without saying that blood is thicker than water, but there's exceptions to that ideal, to that philosophy, to that fact, actually. The reason I'm kind of venting on this is because, well, first and foremost, this is what I do. I vent. I don't always get across to my friends and family because it just doesn't always work out that way. And sometimes when I'm at the point where I'm up late at night and I have no one to talk to except for text messaging, I have to verbally talk this one out. So I can give a fuck. I'm just going to go ahead and say it anyway. But I always tell stories in a fictional format just to protect the innocent. So, and I'll tell you a story, and I'm talking to you. Yes, you, the listener. So if you, were married for a long time, you had kids, you had a family, but things didn't work out and you divorced. Then a custody battle ensues and, you're going through that very stressful moment. Actually, it's one of the most stressful moments in a human being's, existence, aside from, death of a family member. What do you think about this? You're going through that divorce, right? And you're going through the custody battle with your children. Put yourself in this, visualize this for a second. You're going through a custody battle, and I'm not saying that this is the icing on the cake, but you're having, distance issues with one of your siblings or with your mom, with your dad, whatever. And they are pretty much the wrench in the gears, the monkey wrench in the gears by say something or basically making you look, not incriminating you, but making you look bad during that custody battle to the opposing party. Yeah, I know that's bad. That's very bad. And by all means, I don't condone it whatsoever. I always say, stay out of people's business. Don't get involved. To each his own, especially when it comes to divorce and custody battles. There's no need for outside interference. It's kind of like a WWE match. It's one-on-one for the title match. Winner gets the title, but then there's always someone that fucks it up by interfering. I don't know if that's the best metaphor or the best analogy, but that's kind of what makes sense to me. And I'm just sharing it with you, the listener. So, well, granted, you're going through that divorce, you're going through that custody battle, and one of your own blood family members decides to be that monkey wrench in the gears by saying something that is going to make not only you look bad, but it's going to make you lose leverage in that custody battle. And then you completely lose the thing because of it. Now, You've already put yourself in that scenario. You've already visualized what I just painted, the picture that I just painted for you. Okay, you are that person. What do you do with that family member? Do you confront them and say, hey, what the fuck? What is your problem? What you should do, in my recommendation, attack it directly. B, be passive aggressive. Or C, attack that person's ego and existence. Those are really your three options. Or D, completely fucking ignore it. Those are options that you have right now. Those are choices you can make. Now, granted, the situation is very, very critical. It's very urgent. There's a lot of fire on the furnace here. It's hot. The furnace is hot. My best recommendation is attack it directly and say, hey, what the fuck is your problem? Why did you say that? That's the first thing you should fucking do. Like, you don't sidestep it. You don't send text messages. You don't post on social media. You don't send emails. You attack it directly. Now, okay, granted, you're going to go attack it directly. And when you do, it's, out of trust, out of civility, out of, just saying, hey, this is how we're going to resolve this. It's one-on-one. If anything, you go to them and say, hey, we're going to talk this out in your own home, and we're going to resolve this, and we're going to reach an agreement, and that's that. Okay, that's exactly what you're supposed to be civil, figure it out on your own. Make sure the two of you understand what the fuck is going on, and you have to, pretty much say what's on your mind, because you're the one going through the divorce. You're the one going through the custody battle. Granted, this family member of yours, whether it's your mom, your dad, your sister, your brother, they are only thinking about themselves and what they want and what best serves them. Because at this point, this is a chicken shit move that they're doing. So you're pretty irate and you want to basically kill these people for doing what they did. That's just a figure of speech, but you're that angry. That's the extent of the anger that you're feeling. So you're going to attack it directly, and things just do not go the way they planned when you went and attacked this situation directly. So, statements are made, things are documented, things just are not going very well in your favor. So is that enough? And granted, you lost a custody battle. Is that enough for you to disown this individual, your own flesh and blood, whether it's your mom, your dad, your sister, or your brother? Is that enough? That's the question. In my eyes, it depends on the situation, but it is pretty fucked up. I would handle it differently, and I've been seeing this a lot everywhere. But is that enough to disown that individual? Yes. In my eyes, it is. Yes. I cannot even begin to contemplate the feeling of being divorced and fighting and fighting in a custody battle, and then your own flesh and blood comes in and just totally fucks it all up for you. All because they're thinking about themselves. And it could be some ludicrous reason. It could be something very, very infantile and very minute, very insignificant. But to them, it is significant. To them, it is very urgent. It is something that they need to feel certain about. And it could be something very tiny that just snowballs. Now, say you do disown this individual. You do disown your mom. You disown your dad. You disown your sister. You disown your brother. And then what? Okay. Now, let me put it to you in this scenario. That person that you disowned is either sick, they're dying, Things aren't going very well. Maybe they're not, the chips are not all lined up for them. The ducks are not all in a row. Maybe they line them up and nothing happens, but they're alone. Okay, stop and think about that. They're completely alone. They're going through their own shit. Now, I'm not a believer in karma, because I'm not. Because good things happen to bad people, and quite the contrary, a lot of bad things happen to great people, especially children. That's why I don't believe in karma. I don't. And that's just my philosophy. That's my ideal. That's what I roll by. So be it. I'm not perfect, but that's just what I believe in. People believe in other things. So, with that being said, what do you do if you do find out that person's struggling? Do you continue on with your life and say, I'm happy without that person? I don't need them in that I don't need my own flesh and blood in my life at all. I never wanted them, whatever. Or do you forgive them? But of course, you don't forget. You forgive them, say, hey, I forgive you. I'm not ever going to forget. Our relationship will never be the same. And even so, I probably can't even start one because of what you did and what I went through. But guess what? I forgive you. Now, would you do that? Are you willing to do that? That's the question. Now, again, I'm not a believer in karma, but your conscience says, okay, fuck this son of a bitch, fuck this ass, fuck this bitch, fuck this cunt, fuck this whatever. Every derogatory term, every death wish you can think of arises in your head. But can you forgive the person? And I'm not even talking in a biblical sense, because I'm an atheist too, so I don't believe in God, and I don't believe in the Bible, because I've read 5 versions of it. And it doesn't take a book, doesn't take an instruction manual to know that you have to put your left foot first before you take a right, you put your right foot over to take a step. It's not that hard. It doesn't take a book to figure that out. But then again, that's a different conversation. So would you forgive the person is the question. Would you? And now put yourself in this other shoe. You're a member of the family, and you're trying desperately to not choose sides. It's the lonely position of neutral. And that's the name of a Trusted Company album, by the way. But it's the lonely position of neutral. You're not trying to choose sides. You're actually nonpartisan in this situation, if you want to put it into political terms. But you have the best interest to just be cool with everybody and make things right no matter what. And still remind yourself, hey, that's my flesh and blood. I love that person. That's my final decision. That's where I stand. But of course, you're going to have other people in your family pulling you to different sides, and that's perfectly normal. But what if you decided to reach out one day and say, hey, this person is doing really bad? You're basically telling your siblings, your mom, your dad, whoever, your blood, hey, I will lose sleep if this person were to die, like today. And pretty much your flesh and blood is replying to you saying, I don't give a shit. They can go and die right now, and I will not lose any sleep over it. Now, there's really 2 sides of this equation, because one equation is, 1 + 1 is 2. Fuck it. That's it. And then the other one is pretty much long division. You know, and I'm using a mathematical sense because that's kind of what makes sense to me. And I just feel like, you know, personally, if you want to play peacemaker, which is a little bit difficult, then yeah, you would do just that, but it's easier said than done. You're reaching out like that, for example, you know, you're not painted as a bad guy, you're not painted as a good guy. Like I said, it's the lonely position of neutral. And you pretty much have to find a grooving point where, okay, what is it that you're going to do? You know, do you continue on with the conversation, or do you just stop and say, you know what? I heard you out. 1 + 1 is 2. I'm over here trying to do long division. I'm not going to try to help. I'm not trying to get you to see my long division and try to participate, so to speak. So that's kind of where you know, my thoughts are. I've been seeing this a lot. You know, I've experienced it myself, but, you know, I wanted to ask you, the listener, what would it take? Is that enough for you to disown your own family member? You know, this family member costed you not only a custody battle, but, you know, pretty much a relationship with that person. And you would think they would know better, but they don't. But then it goes back to, would you forgive that person? Would you? So I'll leave you with that.